Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and iOS 14 has finally been released to developers. It's available now if you're a developer, and it will be a little bit later if you're a public beta tester. Now, the great news is this will be available for everything from the iPhone SE, as I have here. So it's available for the iPhone SE, the iPhone 6S, 6S Plus, and newer. Apple kept iOS 14 compatible with all iOS 13 compatible devices, including the iPads as well. And so the iPads have a bunch of other features as well I'll cover in a separate video, but just know that they've actually updated everything, and you'll still be able to use it if you have an older device when it comes out in the fall or September-October timeframe. Now this came in at 3.26 gigabytes on my iPhone 11 Pro Max. It's about the same size on all of these devices depending on which one you're using, but expect it to be anywhere from 3 to 4.5 gigabytes depending on the device and depending on which one you're actually installing from. So if you're coming from an older beta or a public release, it may vary in size. Now let's take a look at the build number. The build number is 18A5301V, and this particular update gives us so much that we've wanted for a very long time. And the first thing you may already notice is I have a large widget here for weather. So if I press and hold on this, I can edit the widget, and you'll see it just spins around and lets me select options for it. But if we go over to our widgets here, let's press and hold. We'll keep holding, and let's add a widget. Let's go to, maybe we want a widget for shortcuts. So we'll press shortcuts, and how do we want to add the widget to our home screen? We want it in this size or this size. I'll pick this one, and you'll see we have our widget, and then if I press and hold, I can drag it over to the home screen. I can get rid of it if I want, and everything goes back, and we have different options as well. So we finally have a way to actually edit that. Also, if we keep scrolling over to the right, we now have an app library where it categorizes everything based on what it is. So utilities and productivity and suggestions. And we can also search for that app. So here's our alphabetical list view that we thought we'd have, but it works a little bit different than expected. So it's really nice. So maybe you want to search for, I'm not sure, let's search for Find My, and you'll see it's in real time. It searches for what you're looking for. So it's a super nice way to sort of sort everything. There's more options than that, but you've got all these options for widgets, and it's super nice, and finally it's here. Now, something that Apple has added that people have wanted for years is a new call interface. So maybe I place a phone call and it rings my phone just like this. I can hit no, I don't want to answer that, and it goes away. I can continue using my phone. And so finally, it's been updated how we've wanted it for years. It's no longer taking up the full screen. You don't have to dismiss it with the power sleep wake button. And we've got our call dialog that makes much more sense. So it's super nice that we have that. Now, the next thing is wallpapers. Supposedly there was going to be a redesign when it comes to the way wallpapers work, but we actually don't get that. So if we go to choose new wallpaper, we do have a few new ones. So you'll see we have the one I'm currently using, day and night, which this is the day version. This is the dark mode or night version. And we also have a couple more. So we have this green, blue, and gray one. And then we also have one that's more of a grayish blue color and different shades. So you can pick whatever you'd like, but you don't have the organization like everybody thought. So it's nice that we have a few new ones. Maybe we'll see that change closer to the time it releases to the public. Now, according to Apple, we will be able to set default apps for Safari and Mail. So maybe we don't want to use their email app or Safari. We'd rather use Chrome or Firefox. We should be able to set default apps. This was something I've looked for. I was not able to find. And it should be there, but I haven't seen it yet. But it will be there in the future. We'll be able to set default apps if you're not seeing it already. Now, also, Safari gets a major update with privacy. So if I go into Safari, you'll see that it's actually in Spanish because I've translated it. So for example, you'll see that it has View Original. If I view Original, it goes back to English or my native language. I can tap on the buttons again, translate to Spanish. We also have the option for a tracking report. This is a new privacy feature, and I'll talk more about privacy later on, but tracking tells us what websites we've been to and what they've actually tracked. So depending on which one it is, here's all the different things looking for information. If we go to each one of them, you'll see what's actually being prevented or stopping or being stopped for trackers. Now, this button doesn't seem to work right now, but you'll see it's blocked different things across websites. If I go to another website here, this website is generally in French. So if we go back to view original, you'll see it goes back to French. So we have the option to completely change how we use Safari. I think that's an incredibly useful tool, and I'm really glad to see Apple add that. Now, so we've got translation and privacy, but we also get a brand new Translate app right from Apple. So this is very similar to what we have with Google Translate, but it works in real time using the neural engine on the device itself. So I can translate from English to Spanish and say, "Hi, how are you today?" And you'll see it instantly translates it. Now, if I rotate it to landscape, you can see back and forth, and based on the actual language you're speaking, it will detect what language you're speaking and then translate back and forth so you can have a conversation. You can also play back what you said. So let me try to speak Spanish. I'm not very good at this. Hola, ¿cómo estás? And you'll see it did it in reverse by itself. You don't have to speak English and tell it you're speaking English. You can just go back and forth. So that's super nice that they've added that in. Now, when I was recording the first time, you may have noticed there was a little dot that appeared in the upper right. This is part of privacy in the update with iOS 14. Anytime it's using the microphone or camera, a little dot will appear to let you know that it's active. Even if you didn't allow it, it will let you know. So for example, "Hi, how are you today?" And you can see right here that there's a little dot. Now, it didn't translate that, but you at least got to see that there's a little dot for privacy when you're using the microphone. Now, as far as updates to things that use the camera, Apple actually updated FaceTime. So FaceTime will allow you to use picture-in-picture instead of just pausing the video for everyone, and it will improve video quality as well. And it detects sign language and makes that person prominent in a group video chat. So it does that and also allows you to have eye contact with that person. It sort of changes your eyes and makes sure they have contact with you. Now, another thing they've updated is picture-in-picture in general. So maybe you want to play a video but continue to use your home screen. You can now do that. So let me go into the TV app. You'll see this is the WWDC keynote from today. And you'll see it's playing. I'll swipe home and we can jump through it, whatever we'd like, and then move it around, resize it, and continue to use our phone. So maybe we're in here, we want to go into the App Store. You'll see that we can just continue to watch on this. Another thing you can do with it is you can actually hide it off to the side. So you'll see you just swipe it over to the side, pull it back in, and you can move it around. So you have all of those options with picture-in-picture as well, but you don't get split screen to use multiple apps at once. Now, something Apple has also updated with a few more options is messages. So let's go into messages. Now, at the top of messages, I have 2 pins. You can now pin messages and group messages to the top for people you communicate with regularly. And if I go into a message that's a group message, you'll see that it has 14 at the top. This is a group message I have with Miguel and Brandon Butch. So you'll see here that I have this conversation, and if we go into here, we go into info, you can change the name and photo. You can also hide alerts from people that aren't mentioning you specifically, and you can actually call someone out specifically. So if I just type Brandon, and you'll see that says, yep, it's Brandon, and then, yep, it's no good. That message went specifically to him, and you can see that when you have brackets around people. Then you can reply to them specifically. So you have those options within here. You also can be notified when they mention you back, hide all of the other notifications, and you'll just see that it's a little bit different design overall. Now within here, they've added 20 new Memoji here as well, including a face mask and some updates to all sorts of things. So everything from hairstyles to nose, the mask, everything else. This continues to be updated with more and more information. So maybe you want to customize it however you feel. You can do that now. Now there's an update with the keyboard as well. So if I go into the keyboard and I type or tap on the emoji here and I type the word hello, you'll see that it brings up everything for waving hello. And so that's all brought into here. You can now search emoji a little bit better. It's just an update to keyboard. Also, it uses voice dictation on the device now, and it should be a lot better. So I can say, hey, Brandon, how are you doing this afternoon? And you'll see it works quickly and in real time. So it's doing that on the device now, encoding everything here, not having to send it off device to translate everything else. Now, speaking of voice dictation, Siri actually has a redesigned UI. So it's now smarter with over 20 times more facts compared to about 3 years ago. It has more complex question understanding, and you can ask Siri to send an audio message. So let me press here and go to Siri. What's the weather today? You'll see it looks different. Pops up the weather. You can just swipe it off there. We have thunderstorms, it looks like, and you have a whole new Siri interface. You can also translate with Siri with entire conversations and ask Siri to send an ETA if you're navigating with maps. So it's really nice. How was WWDC? Says WWDC, I may be biased, but those are some of my favorite letters. And so you just have a redesigned UI. It's less intrusive, and I think it's a great addition. Now, Notes has been updated a little bit. We have new action menus. If we go into let's just open Notes here, and you'll see it looks a little bit different. We'll just go to a new note, and now we have some more options. They've added some additional updates, and Notes specifically has better search with top hits search. So if I go here and maybe I want to search, I can just search iOS. You'll see here's everything from iOS, and I record everything in Notes to kind of do notes for these videos. So it's searching all of those, and it's really simple and easy to use and much better search now. Now, Maps gets an update as well, and first it gets a big update for those that live in the UK, Ireland, and Canada. You get the new updated maps that we got last year with iOS 13. So let's go ahead and go into Maps. And Apple has updated Maps with new suggestions. You can find food nearby, so we'll tap on fast food. We've got some options down here, and we just have new suggestions in general, but we also have navigation for cycling. Eventually, we will have cycling directions. Now, they don't seem to be in here yet, but they should be in here in the future. You'll also have EV routing that also checks your charge on certain cars if you allow it. It seems to be Ford and one other. Tesla's not in that yet, but it will let you know the best routing for EV and let you know your charge status and things like that. It also will give you access to congestion in green zones and also let you know where speed cameras are, and also refine location when you're in urban settings where you can't see things based off of maybe the buildings around you. So it should be able to do all of those things. I've not found all of those options all throughout yet. Now, Apple's updated the App Store with something called App Clips, and these app clips will be available later on for different apps, and you don't have to have the app installed. So here's Apple's example. So maybe you want to rent a scooter and you don't have the app for that scooter installed. You can tap an NFC tag or scan a new QR code, and then it will bring up this little app clip. You'll be able to pay for the scooter right here and be done with it altogether, or you can install the app. And this will be throughout any app you want, and it has to be under 10 megabytes in size. So these should be really helpful if maybe you're missing that app. It will tie into Apple Pay and allow you to use that, and basically be available as you need it with NFC and QR codes. Now, there's also some options in the App Store to invite friends to follow you as far as your arcade games, and you can follow them back, see what they're playing, and it gives you suggestions. Also, you have a redesigned Game Center, which it's not something that I personally use, but they've redesigned it a little bit. And there's new sorting for Apple Arcade as well, and you'll see continue playing and things like that. So not huge updates that you can see initially, but those updates are there. And also, app developers can now make their subscriptions available for sharing among members of a family sharing group. So you can share it and it will let you know. Now, Reminders does get a minor update, and Reminders allows you to assign reminders to people you share in lists. So if I go over to this iPhone, the iPhone XR, and maybe we go to Reminders, you'll see it pops up and says Assign Reminders. You've got smart suggestions and lots more. So if we go to Continue, you'll see there's a new reminder. We can assign it to someone. We can add emoji. We can assign an emoji to that reminder. So for example, we have priorities and what list it's under, and additional things such as get reminder suggestions from mail or suggestions from dates and locations throughout the OS. It will recognize that, and if you tap on it, it will allow you to create a reminder. Now, music gets a little bit of an overhaul. So if we go into music, you can see we now have a Listen Now tab. And this Listen Now tab has things it suggests as far as top picks, stations for you, recent recently played, made for you, and this will combine everything your family's using as well. So it may not always apply, but some new releases, things like that. And it will also continue to play if your playlist runs out. So maybe you want it to continually play, you can have it do that. There's also improved search, and I'm not sure, you can already search lyrics, but you can improve search by searching for, let's search for Pearl Jam here, and search should be better in general. So there's categories, and they've just done a little overhaul of it, and this is across all devices as well. So it's a nice little update. And they've also added a similar section within podcasts. So we now have Listen Now again, recommending different podcasts here, all sorts of things, and it's just got a little bit of a design overhaul also. Now with the camera, Apple has added performance. So apparently they've updated performance with the camera, but they haven't talked about performance with anything else in the OS. So it's very quick. And then they've also added exposure compensation. So you've got the option here. So if you didn't see that quick, we'll go back, tap the options, and you'll see we've got exposure control here. And then we've got a little dot letting us know that the camera's in use, which is part of the new privacy update. Now to go along with the camera, Photos is updated a little bit with more pinch to zoom. So we go into Photos and you'll see we're zoomed way out. Maybe we want to zoom in a little more. We can do that. We'll just keep zooming. And now we're zoomed in. We can zoom way back out, and it's a nice little update of something that we had years ago. They've brought it back. It's something I used a lot on the iPad, and they've brought it back so that it works flawlessly throughout all the updates. So that's a nice little update. Nothing huge, but you can also organize with new options to filter and sort. Now, weather gets an update as well. I showed you the widget already, but you'll see it says expect rain in the next hour. We'll tap on this and it's already raining. And then also we have air quality. It just gets a minor update, and they probably brought some things in from dark sky as well. So it's a nice little update. You'll see there's the next hour forecast for Charlotte, and it's pretty interesting. It says rain stopping in 41 minutes. So we'll see if that actually happens. Now accessibility gets some updates that are really nice. So if we go into accessibility, we have VoiceOver updates. So VoiceOver gets some additional updates for recognition of elements on the device. So you'll see VoiceOver recognition, there's some options, and it will recognize image descriptions, screen recognition. So it says your iPhone will automatically make apps more accessible by recognizing items on the screen. It says your iPhone will speak descriptions of text found in images. And so if you want to use that, you can use that now. It's added to accessibility. And then they've also added an update for hearing as well. So if we go down to audio and visual under accessibility, we now have headphone accommodations. So if we go in here, turn it on, we can tune the audio to be specific for a balanced tone, or change it for a vocal range or brightness. And then we have slight, moderate, or strong. And you can adjust this to help you hear a little bit better if you're having problems hearing specific frequencies or voices and things like that. So it's nice to see them updating accessibility regularly. Now, one thing you may have already noticed is the Activity app now says Fitness. Now, we thought there'd be a new Fitness app, but it just seems that Apple has renamed it and redesigned the Fitness app to look a little bit different. So we have Activity at the top, workouts, trends, and awards. So they've updated it. It looks a little bit easier and cleaner to read, and it's really nice to use. Now, they've also updated the Home app, and the Home app has been updated to add things automatically to the widgets that you use automatically. So, for example, I'm at my office, it automatically puts in my office here to turn the lights on and off. If I was home, it will automatically have the Home apps there, or the Home widgets that I use the most. So it adjusts based on your location. And within the Home app, they've updated this as well. So you'll see I only have a scene here, and then I can switch where I'm at. We'll just go home here, and you'll see we have favorite scenes. Now, should I have something that needs attention, there'll be a status bar here on the top. So based on what you might need, what's turned on. So if we go home, let's go to the office, let's turn this on, and you'll see it shows up as a status at the top. Turn it off, it goes away because it's not important. So it's really nice. They've updated it with a little bit of things like that. They've updated it with a few more features that make it easier. And also, if you have devices that will use automations, it will automatically suggest what you can automate. So it's built in. Maybe you have a doorbell that you want to use and it has video on it. It ties into HomePod and will let you know when someone rings the doorbell, and it will work seamlessly. They've added activity zones in the camera, so you can kind of set it up. If you have a Google Nest, you'll understand how that works, but it won't recognize someone if they're in a specific area. And it also has facial recognition built right in that only uses your iPhone. It's end-to-end encrypted and secure, and will let you know who's ringing your doorbell if you want to use it. All of those things can be turned off or on as needed. They've also partnered with Amazon and Google on this to make more secure devices and have better compatibility across everything. So you can do things like add an accessory, and now you can use HomeKit setup code or hold iPhone near the accessory, and it will work with more accessories in the future. So they've added all of these things, and Home got a huge update, and I think it's much easier to use. I like how it adapts in the control center. I think it's pretty simple, and you'll see it says at the top, Home recently. So it's pretty nice that they've added that. Now, Find My has been updated a little bit. So the Find My app helps you find your devices and things like that. So if we go into Find My, now Find My has always been great to locate your devices and friends and family, but now they're opening it up so that third-party products and accessories can use a new Find My network accessory program. So maybe Tile, for example. We didn't hear about AirTags, so maybe they'll allow Tile to put their accessory in here. It'll be secure and help you locate it. So that should be added as well, and I look forward to that. Now with voice recording, I'll just search for it, and search is really good now. It searches everything. We'll go to voice memos, and you'll see I have a couple new ones. There's some new sorting options, which isn't huge, but it's nice. But they've also added enhanced recording features to improve sound. So it will help you eliminate background noise if you want to do that. So if we go back here, it's not really exciting, but you have that option to eliminate background noise to help you hear your note more clearly or your voice memo more clearly. Now, something that's pretty huge and important to most people is privacy. And Apple started using privacy as a main feature quite some time ago, but now privacy allows for not only sign in with Apple, but also will help you convert an existing account to sign in with Apple. So maybe you have an existing account. Of course, an app developer or a website will have to allow you to do this, but you can actually do that and sign in with Apple securely. Now there's some new privacy options as well when you go into different apps. So you'll see there's tracking here at the top, and we can allow apps to request to track, or we can just say don't request at all, I don't want you tracking me. Under location services, for example, you've got different applications, and there's some new options for this. So the Apple Store, for example, we can allow it to have our precise location or kind of give it a general location as to where we are. So maybe you want it to know that we're in a general metro area, or maybe we want to know exactly where we are. It depends on what application you're using. Maps, of course, you would want the precise location because you want to know where you are and where you're going. Maybe other apps you don't, so you have that option. Again, it will let you know when the mic and the camera is turned on. So when the camera's on and something's using the camera, you'll have a little dot in the upper right here. You can see there's a dot. It just lets you know the camera's in use. Any app that's using your camera or microphone actively will let you know. Now, something else they're doing for privacy is a summary of privacy practices within the App Store. So each app will let you know what kind of privacy policy there is. But if I go down here, maybe we'll go to this game. In the future, there will be a little tag that tells you their privacy practices. And so privacy policy, each one has a privacy tag, and it will bring you here. But what they're going to do is update this so that it actually gives you privacy information similar to that of what you get as a nutrition update on, say, a box of cereal or something like that. You can see the actual tag to tell you everything they're tracking and using. And so that's a nice little update. Each developer is required to report that information for the future. So we should see that once iOS 14 is out. Now, there's a few other updates as well. One thing they spent quite some time on is AirPods. So AirPods Pro, for example, will now have the ability to use spatial audio when you're using it for video or watching a TV show. So it will use spatial audio to make it sound as though you are in a theater. You should be able to hear sound all around you from behind and in front. And it also detects when you're moving your phone or your iPad and when you move your head and how they relate to one another to give you the best sounding experience. So I can't wait to try this in the future. It looks like something that would be great on an iPad and hopefully with Apple TV, since you can share multiple devices with Apple TV now. So all of those things are coming with iOS 14. Now also with AirPods, it will give you battery notifications when it's getting low. Maybe you're taking a call and you're down to 4% battery, it will let you know. And it will also automatically switch between devices. So maybe you're using your Mac with AirPods, a call comes in on your phone, it will switch automatically when you pick it up on your phone, and it will just work. I can't wait for this to be implemented across everything because that's something I've wanted for a long time. The Files app gets an update with APFS encryption for drives. So maybe you need to encrypt it or read an encrypted drive, you should be able to do that. Now they've updated CarPlay as well with new wallpapers and some new options for EVs and things like that. So it's a minor update, but you'll have your current options plus a few additional ones such as EVs and charging and things. And also they mentioned Apple Car Key. Now we saw this with iOS 13 in the code, but Car Key should be out to iOS 13 and 14 and allow you to use your phone as your car key. You can share a key, you can disable it if it's lost, and it uses Apple's U1 chip to help you locate it. So maybe it's in your pocket, and the car will know that it's in your pocket so that you don't have to take it out to start your car or unlock it, or maybe it's in a purse. So it will use all of that. The first car is a BMW in a month or so, and it will roll out to other cars as they choose to sign up. Now there's a couple other things as well. There's updates to ARKit to allow for anchors, extended face tracking support, and video textures for those that want to develop AR games and apps. And then internationally, there's some updates as well for new bilingual dictionaries for French, German, Indonesian, and some others. There's also an update to the Woobi keyboard for China. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. And then also autocorrect for Ireland and Norway, as well as new fonts for India, a redesigned Kana keyboard, and much more. So there's a lot of international language updates as well. So that is everything in iOS 14. There may be some extra things in the future, some extra settings, but those are all of the major features with iOS 14. Now be sure to check back for the iPadOS video. I'll cover just what's new other than what I've covered here. You do get the widgets and everything else. Now, if you'd like to get the iOS 14 wallpaper, I'll link it in the description as I always do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.